everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Rachel and this is Stitched Up. So, Happy New Year! Today is actually New Year's Eve and I thought I would do a 2020 roundup. What a year it's been, hasn't it? We're not going to mention the C word because I am going to start 2021 with absolutely oodles of positivity. I've just got a feeling 2021 is going to be an amazing year, and let's face it, it can't be any worse than 2020. On top of the C word, I also had to undergo flooding at the beginning of the year as well, which was an experience I've never been through before. But we're not going to dwell on the past, we're just going to look to the future. So I'm coming to you today in my new sewing room. As you can probably see, you're only getting a sneak peek at the minute because it's not finished. But oh my word, I am, ending 2020 on a high because I am developing the sewing room of my dreams, and I never thought I would have that in this house. I just never thought ever that we would have the space to do it. And yep, I have to say, Bronte made me do it. My daughter Bronte just gave us the idea literally about 3 weeks before Christmas, and it had never occurred to me before, but I was massively outgrowing my sewing space upstairs in the smallest bedroom in the house. And yeah, those of you that have been following me for a while will know that I have an enormous fabric stash. And I'm proud of that fabric stash. I don't spend my money on much else apart from fabric, and sewing related things. So yeah, I've got a massive fabric stash, but that's fine. It was an amazing idea of my daughter's to decide to turn what was our dining room into a new sewing space. And we're on with it now, and I'm really pleased with how it's coming together. There's loads of light in here. It's just lovely, just lovely. But it's not finished, so I will do a sewing room tour at some point when it's finished. I don't want us to show you it all now because, as I say, it's only half finished really. And I do need to have another trip to IKEA to get a few more bits and pieces for storage, which I'm planning to do this afternoon actually. So really looking forward to that. So for those of you that are just tuning in now, thank you for joining me. Those of you that have been with me a while, thank you for coming back. If you haven't subscribed, I really would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. It really does mean a lot, and I'm really focused on 2021, really growing my channel as much as I possibly can and reaching more people, because I just really want to share my love of sewing that I've developed over the last few years with as many people as possible. So I'm going to chat to you today about 2020 and what sewing meant to me in 2020, I guess, really. And I know a lot of people are doing the hits and misses, the wins, the losses, the successes and the fails, etc. But I'm approaching this slightly differently because I don't think anything that you make is a failure when it comes to sewing. So I am not going to talk to you about my failures in 2020 from a sewing perspective, because I see it as progress. Everything that you make in sewing progresses your knowledge and progresses your learning. So yeah, there's nothing that I've made in 2020 that has been an absolute dud, shall we say, because even if it's been something that I've never worn or has been donated, I still look at it as part of my learning curve and part of what's helping me grow as a sewer or seamstress or sewist or whatever you want to call yourself. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit first about the successes, the things that I have sewn this year that I'm really proud of and that I wear a lot, and that I've sort of delved into new things, etc. And yeah, I thought I'd start, well, by telling you what I'm wearing today. I am, shock horror, I'm not wearing anything handmade today, which is unlike me. It's really cold. We've had the hardest frost of the year last night, and yeah, it's been really cold. So I have got a ready to wear jumper on and a ready to wear denim dress, which yeah, is and thick tights, which is keeping me really warm. So anyway, let's get back to the sewing. So 2020, things I have made that I have been really proud of and that I have loved and that I've worn a lot. I think the first thing, the standout project for me this year was the Kelly Anorak by Jalie Patterns. This is a pattern that I have had for a few years, and I know that some people have had issues with it. I did do a separate video review of this pattern, so I will link that so you can go and check that out if you want to go and have a look. I found it fairly straightforward, I will admit. I know that Closet Core Patterns, I think I called them Closet Case, didn't I? But it's Closet Core now. I know that they have revisited the pattern and have adjusted the lining expansion pack, I believe it is. So I think that will probably improve things. It's definitely not a beginner make, and it's taken me 6 years of sewing to pluck up the courage to finally have a go. But I do love the ready-to-wear style of this coat, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I do think it needs some tweaking. I'm not happy with the front placket on how wide that is, which means where the press stud placement is right at the edge of the placket. So I think from a longevity perspective, that's not going to wear very well. I think that's not very well drafted, if I'm honest, and that will need some attention if I make this jacket again, which I am going to make it again because I want to make a different version of it. I want to make a waxed cotton version of it with a corduroy collar. I really love that jacket. I wear it a lot, not at the moment because it's too cold, because I like to be really snuggly and warm when it's winter, but autumn and spring it's going to get loads of wear. It got loads of wear in autumn, and yeah, I really love that coat. So I think that's probably the standout project for me this year. In addition to that, you know, all the hardware puts a lot of people off. You know, you've got the press studs, you've got the separating zipper, you have the drawstring and the cord toggles, and I think a lot of those kinds of things put people off. But honestly, the instructions were great on the whole. There was a couple of things that had me scratching my head, but you know, there's loads of resources out there to help you with this coat. So if you have been sewing a while and it's on your list to make, have a go at it, because I really love mine. I think the next thing that I really like that I've made this year as well is the Sew Over It Ravello dress. I made this in some beautiful viscose that I got actually from Sew Over It when I was in London last year, as it is currently, when I met up with the lovely Jay from the Camden Stitch. And yeah, we went to Sew Over It together, and I bought this viscose from there, and I finally got that made up this year into the Ravello dress, which is in their Summer Dreaming ebook, I think it is. And yeah, I absolutely love that dress. Really love it. And I wore it a lot over the summer. The only thing I didn't like about it was how the sleeve cuffs were constructed. I thought that was a little bit, what's the word? I don't know, but I've seen better construction of sleeve cuffs, and I think when I make that dress again, which I probably will, I will alter that slightly. But it's a dress that I love. I love the big maxi floaty dresses for spring and summer. I just think they're so lovely. They're easy to wear, they hide a lot of sins, and I just love that silhouette on me. So yeah, that's another standout for me this year. I also made the Tessuti Patterns Claudia dress, which I'm going to insert pictures. You'll be seeing them as we go along. But yes, the Claudia dress by Tessuti Patterns. I've made this dress before, and I love Tessuti Patterns. I love the fact that they seem to be drafted for taller women, and I don't have to add any length to their patterns, which is just great. It just means there's less adjustments for me to make. And I made another version of this dress before my holiday to Cornwall in August, and I made this from navy linen that I got from Empress Mills, I think it was, and I love it. It's a lovely dress. Again, I did a sew along for this dress, so I will link that video that you can go and check that out if you want to know how that comes together. It's not obviously a dress that I'm going to wear at this time of year, however, come spring and summer it's going to get a lot of wear, and I love linen for summer. It's just such an amazing fabric. And yeah, that's another definite hit. The one that I made previously was in white linen, and again I wear that loads in summer, and I just know that those kind of dresses will just get loads of rotation in my wardrobe. Next up is a pattern company that is new to me, and these were introduced to me by the lovely Judy from Running So and So. Judy has made a few of our Lady of Leisure patterns, and I'd never even heard of them before, to be honest. So one of the dresses that she made was the Pina Colada dress, and she showed me the dress that she'd made, and oh my word, it was beautiful. I wish I'd taken some photos of it. But I decided to get that pattern myself, and I made that pattern up. It's got these amazing statement sleeves, and the pattern instructions are fantastic, the drafting is fantastic, and that dress comes together so well. I did need to lengthen it by a lot, I'll be honest, because I'm 5'10", and if I'd have done this dress at the original pattern length, it would have been mini length on me, and I don't want to wear that length anymore. So yeah, I had to lengthen it by about 3 inches, I think, altogether. But apart from that, I didn't need to make any other adjustments. And yeah, it's a fabulous dress. Again, I made that before my holiday to Cornwall, and I wish I could wear it now. It's very summery, so obviously it's not right for this time of year. But as a, you know, not that we are going out for date nights or meals out or anything like that, but it's going to be, when we can finally do that again, it's definitely going to be a dress that I'm going to be wearing for that. And I'm definitely going to make another one because I love it. It's so nice to wear. And it really has made me want to look at more of their patterns. There is another couple of their patterns that I'm coveting that I'll probably look at some point in 2021. So moving on to activewear and swimwear. So those of you that have been following me for a while know that I'm a very keen runner, and I do own lots of ready-to-wear activewear that I wear for running, but I've also dabbled in making my own as well. And I'm a big fan of Greenstyle Creations and Jalie Patterns. They do some amazing activewear patterns with really clear instructions and lots of options as well. So you don't have to actually do any adjustments because they have options for high waist, ultra high waist, and a sort of lower waist. They also have options for petite and tall lengths as well. So you only have to print out the pattern that you need rather than the whole lot and then having to grade and adjust, etc. I've not needed to do any of that with either of those pattern companies. So they are my go-to pattern companies for activewear now. And this year I've made a number of Greenstyle patterns. I have made the tempo tights. I think I've made about 3 or 4 of those. I've also made the Greenstyle Creations stride pants as well. I think those two are my absolute favourite. They also do some amazing sports bra patterns as well, and that's something that I definitely want to get into next year. I have made the Jalie sports bra before. Again, I think I did a pattern review of that, and I do want to have a go at a couple of the Greenstyle Creations sports bras. But what I also made this year is the Greenstyle Creations Waimea rash guard and bikini bottoms. That was a new pattern that came out in the summer of 2020, and I had some amazing disco lycra fabric that I got from Walton's and made that up, and it's just amazing. It's a great fit, and I wore those loads on my holiday to Cornwall. So yeah, swimwear and activewear. Oh, swimwear on top of that, I also made 2 or 3 of the Friday pattern company Vanatza bikinis as well this year as well. So I've really expanded my sewing repertoire this year, and I've enjoyed making swimwear, I've enjoyed making activewear, and I know that that's just going to continue into 2021. So thinking about some of the sewing that I've undertaken this year that has really tested my skills and really made me progress, I would say, is working with tricky fabrics. Now, I'm quite happy to try all sorts of different fabrics. You know, I'm not a sewer that will just stick to cotton or whatever. I like all sorts of different fabrics, and I think I've really developed enough now to try and understand which patterns are going to work well in which fabrics, although I still occasionally make some really big boo-boos with that. But generally I can pick pattern and fabrics and match those quite well now. Where I'm struggling with, I guess, is some of those more tricky to sew fabrics rather than anything else. And particularly this year I've worked with faux fur, and I've also worked with velvet as well. I really love velvet fabric, and I love wearing it. I love the feel of it, and I'm absolutely fine with the nap of it and making sure that the pattern placement is correct so that the nap is all going in the same direction. Where I struggle with is if you need any closures in velvet, and no more was that obvious in my latest make, which was a jumpsuit that I made for Christmas Day. And this was a pattern that actually really did test me, because it was a number of elements to this that all coming together was quite challenging. So the first thing was that I found two patterns that I hacked together to make a jumpsuit from an inspiration picture that I'd seen on Instagram. And this was a silk velvet jumpsuit that is about £300 to buy from Nancy May Clothing. I think it's Nancy May, or it might be Nancy Mac. I will put a picture of it so you can see what I'm talking about. But I saw this jumpsuit and I love it. I love the retro vibe of it. I love the fit of it, and it's definitely up my street. And I wanted to recreate that because I didn't have that kind of money spare to just splurge on a silk velvet jumpsuit. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't want to spend that much, to be honest, not when it's something that I think I could make myself. So it looked fairly straightforward. I made a new look pattern a few months ago that was a woven pattern that I knew I could sort of use the collar from that pattern that would more or less match. And then I hunted around for a jersey bodice pattern that looked very similar, and I found the Yasmin by Sinclair patterns, which I thought I could hack that by raising the midriff section and lowering the neckline, creating that collar to create that bodice. Then in addition to that, I just needed a plain Palazzo pant pattern that I could grade up to fit that bodice. And I used the Pattern for Pirates Palazzo pants. Now that one does have a yoga waistband, which obviously I needed to omit, which meant I needed to raise the waistband and add some curve into that pattern as well, because that pattern is straight up and down because it's supposed to be quite fitted through the hips and the upper thighs, and I wanted it a little bit looser. So it meant that I had to do a little bit of pattern hacking to get those two patterns to blend together and then create a collar that would work with it as well. And I think I pulled that off quite successfully. But then I chose velvet fabric to create this jumpsuit in as well, so that it would be as much like my inspiration picture as it possibly could. And that was difficult because I hadn't really considered the closure aspect of this. Obviously a jumpsuit, you need to be able to get on and off, and it's you know, for using the bathroom and also just getting in and out of it. So it needed a zip of some sort. The opening in the neckline was not wide enough to go over my shoulders, so it meant I needed to put a zip in this jumpsuit. So I went for a side zip, mainly because of the collar that I felt would make it quite difficult to put a back zip in. In hindsight, I think in future what I would do is make the collar with a closure at the back so that I could have a back zip that goes all the way up to the top, because that side zip caused me a lot of issues, I'll be honest. Partly because I don't think it was quite long enough. I used a 22-inch zip, but because this jumpsuit has got sleeves in as well, you really did have to contortion yourself to get in and out of it. And in addition to that, it just meant that the zip, there wasn't enough capacity in the zip to be even at 22 inches for me to get in and out of that easily. So I think an extra 2-inch zip would have been ideal, but I wouldn't have had that issue if I'd have made it a back zip. So I think one thing that has taught me is that, you know, if you're going to put sleeves in a jumpsuit, then you need to have a back zip and not a side zip, because it's just too difficult to get in and out of it. So can you see where I'm saying that even though that might not have been an ultra successful make for me, I've learned something, and this is what I'm trying to take from sewing. You know, have a go at things, experiment. It's only fabric at the end of the day. That velvet fabric was not expensive, and you know, for something where you're going to be hacking away at patterns and trying something new, it's a great opportunity to just do that and learn something. So I'm really pleased that I attempted it. I do like the finished outfit. When it's on, it looks amazing, but I do know that it's something that I am not going to reach for time and time again because of the difficulty of getting in and out of it. The other issue I had with the zip was that initially I put a invisible zip in the side of this jumpsuit, and before I'd even tried it on, I broke that zip, because where the belt is stitched into the side seam, the invisible zip needs to go through that, and it was getting caught in the belt and it just broke. So I knew that an invisible zip was just not going to be strong enough for that repeated zipping and unzipping of that side zip, as well as the contortionist that I had to put myself into to get in and out of it. So yeah, again, I had to unpick that zip, and I had to then just go for a regular zip, which meant I had to do a lap zip. Again, that was not easy to do in velvet, and I think that's something that I'm really going to have to work on. I don't know how to put a zip in velvet that's not an invisible zip and make it look really neat and tidy, because oh my word, that zip is one holy mess. But you know, again, I got it finished. I was literally sewing that in Christmas Eve, but I got that jumpsuit finished and I wore it on Christmas Day and I felt amazing in it. So at the end of the day, I'm calling that a win. There's probably lots of other projects that I have worked my way through in 2020. I have sewn a lot this year, and I'll be honest, I haven't counted up how many items that I've sewn, but I do know, I think there was one month during the year when I think I sewed about 30 things. It worked out about one item a day, which, considering I work full time, was pretty impressive, I think you'll admit. So I don't know what my plans are for the coming year from a sewing perspective, to be honest. I'm very spontaneous. I don't think I am going to take part in any Make 9 challenges or any sort of projected plans in that respect, because I never stick to them. And I think that's because I just get really busy with work and other things, and also because, as I've just mentioned, I'm really spontaneous and new patterns come out all the time. I see new fabrics and I get inspired, and irrespective of what I think I'm going to do at the beginning of the year, if something new and shiny comes out and I'm drawn to it, it's like, no, everything's got to stop because I want to make that now. I think that I want to continue with the activewear, definitely, because I'm really into my running again now. I'm running regularly, and there are so many other patterns that I want to attempt and have a go at. I have got an enormous amount of patterns in my stash that I've not attempted yet. There are a few new pattern companies that I've got patterns for that I have not tried yet, including How to Do Fashion. I bought 2 of their patterns in November, and I really want to have a go at those this year as well. My priority at the minute over the next week or 2 is going to be completing this sewing room. I haven't redecorated it because we weren't sure when we started this project whether it was going to work and whether we would be happy with the dining table in our conservatory and how this space is going to work. Quick battery change there. So yeah, as I was saying, I think my priority over the next couple of weeks is to get my sewing room finished, and I think at some point we probably will redecorate it. I know that we both, I'm talking about me and my husband here, we absolutely love how this has come together, and he's really happy with it. You know, I can see into my kitchen when he's cooking, and I'm working in here. I've got an amazing big cutting table now in the centre of this room with still plenty of room around. So, you know, it's just becoming the sewing room of my dreams. So that's my immediate priority, to get this room finished and make it workable. And my next priority for my channel this year really is going to be doing more tutorials. I really want to teach you guys more, and you know, I get so many comments about how quick I manage to sew things and some of the techniques that I use and do, and how I manage to fit different patterns and all that kind of thing. And I know that lots of people are really keen to learn more about that and understand how I do that. So I'm really keen to share that with you all and do more tutorials, more sew alongs, more pattern reviews over the coming year. I'm still going to be continuing my Stitched Up weekly vlogs as well, because I know that lots of you really enjoyed that over the year. Lots of you have really enjoyed following me on my day-to-day life. I don't think I'm going to be doing it every week like I was in 2020, and that's mainly because I want to do lots more sewing. I found that I was just not getting enough time to do more of the specific sewing vlogs. So there's going to be a bit more of a mix in 2021 moving forward, but it's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it, and I really hope you will join me and come along with me. Right, that's going to be it for today. So I just want to say again, I hope you have an amazing 2021. I really hope 2021 brings us all much health, happiness, and that we can all start socializing a little bit more together as well. I'm really, really hoping that that comes to fruition in 2021. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button down below, and please like this video and give it a thumbs up. Leave me some comments down below as well. I do read through every single comment that anybody leaves me. I'm always totally grateful that people take time out of their day to comment, so please continue to do that because I love hearing from you all, and I hope I'll be back with you really soon. Take care, bye.